I'll just jump right into it if you're good to go.
Yeah, I'm good.
This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com, and today is my special guest. We have one of the most feared wrestlers in the history of professional wrestling, ECW legend. He's been in XPW, he's been everywhere, but the major companies that I guess are too afraid to use him. The legendary New Jack. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, bro. What's going on?
The first question I have for you is this Dark Side of the Ring documentary. Everyone saw it. What's your opinion of how they portrayed you in it?
I thought it was good. I had absolutely no complaints about it. I thought it was good.
That's good. They talked in that documentary that you were in prison when you were younger. What was that all about?
I did a armed robbery and an aggravated assault on a guy, and I did 2 years in prison.
Okay. What was the toughest part about being in prison?
I mean, it was an experience. It was like every day was something different. You know what I mean? And I did it. I never ran into any problems. You know what I'm saying? It was like I went in, I did my time, and I got out.
Right.
That was it.
Now, were you in bounty hunting before prison or did you get into that after?
After
Okay. How did you get into that?
I had a friend of mine that was bounty hunting, and he was writing bonds, and he was bounty hunting also. And he asked me would I want to do it. So I went out with him one night, and we were staking out this guy, and the guy was on a bus. He was on a city bus, and the guy got off the bus, and we saw him, and I jumped out of the car and ran and tackled the guy, and I was hooked. After that, I was hooked. I was like, I gotta do this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I got certified through the sheriff's department, and I started bounty hunting.
What kind of money did you make doing that?
I mean, I made a lot of money.
Nice.
Yeah, I made a lot of money.
And I've heard you say you got some justifiable homicides out of your bounty hunting days. What were those over? Just people trying to get away or people trying to kill you and you have to protect yourself?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. So they investigated and then they found that you were justified and you get off the charges.
Yeah.
What was the craziest thing you experienced as a bounty hunter? Obviously, if you were into homicides, you went through some pretty bad experiences.
There was a lady that I had that she had jumped bond, and I was looking for her for about 6 months, and she was probably the hardest person that I looked for a period of time. You know what I mean? And I finally found her in Houston, Texas, and I got her, and we put her in my truck. She sung gospel songs all the way back to Atlanta, and she was in Houston. You know what I mean? And I was just like, "Bitch, shut the fuck up! Please shut the fuck up!" You know what I mean? Because she just kept singing, and I was like, "God damn!" You know what I mean? But I finally got her, and we took her to jail.
Okay. And how did you get into wrestling from that business?
I had a friend of mine, this nigga named Melvin. he had been training down at WCW, and I was playing semi-pro football, and it was my last game, and he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, I've been training wrestling." He said, "I could train you, and we could start wrestling." And I was like, "I don't want to do that shit." You know what I mean? And he was like, "No, man, we can make a lot of money doing it." And I was like, "I don't want to do it." And he was like, "No, Jack, we can make a lot of money doing it." So we started working out, and then I got introduced to Ray Candy. And then Ray told me, he was like, "I could take you a long way in this business." You know what I mean? And he was like, "Let me train you, and I'll show you the ropes, and you could become a household name." And I was like, "All right," you know what I mean? So I started training with Ray Candy.
Was the training tough, or compared to football, was it pretty easy for you?
No, it was all right. It was easy.
And I heard you started in the USWA. What was that company like to work for?
Well, actually, I had been working in Atlanta with North Georgia Wrestling Allowance, and that was before USWA.
Okay.
All right, so I trained with, I worked out with them, and then US Jeff Jarrett offered me a spot to come to USWA. So I went, and I stayed there for like a month and a half, and we worked out the deal with me and Homeboy with the guy named Mark Freer. But Jerry Jarrett was like, "New Jack, we need to come up with a character for Mark Freer." And I was like, "All right." And he said, "What's some of the names y'all call each other in the hood?" I said, "Well, if I got a friend named Larry, I call him Larry." He was like, "No, what's some of the names that you call each other in the hood?" So he said, "What about Homeboy?" So I was like, "Well, that's his name, not mine." You know what I mean? I'm like, "So if you want to call him Homeboy, call him Homeboy." So he got stuck with the name Homeboy. So it was New Jack and Homeboy, and we tagged, and we did our thing in USWA.
How did you come up with the name New Jack?
I was in Savannah, Georgia, and I went to see a movie called New Jack City. And I'm sitting there watching the movie, and the name New Jack kind of stuck out. And at the time, I was just getting into wrestling, so I was like, New Jack. And I was like, New Jack, New Jack. I don't know if you're familiar with the guy named Bootsy Collins.
No.
He played bass with James Brown and George Clinton. Well, anyway, I went to one of Bootsy's concerts, and they was chanting Bootsy, and they were like, Bootsy, Bootsy. So I was like, New Jack, New Jack. And it had a ring to it. So I took it and I ran with it. And that's how I came up with the name New Jack.
Now, when you wrestled for USWA, how did you like working for the Jarretts? Did you get along with them?
I didn't.
Okay. I guess the pay wasn't that great either, from what I heard.
No, it was garbage.
Were the Von Erichs out of it by then, or were you still going down to Texas?
No, the Von Erichs were gone.
Okay. And then I guess from there you went to Smoky Mountain Wrestling?
I went back to North Georgia, and then I went to Smoky Mountains.
Okay. So Jim Cornette recruited you, I assume?
Yeah.
How did you get along with Jim Cornette?
Cornette was cool.
What do you think about the whole thing that they recently fired him from NWA because he made a joke, I guess, about fried chicken or something like that? I don't know exactly, but people were accusing him of being racist.
I hadn't heard anything about it.
Okay. Was it Cornette that put you with Mustafa, or were you already a team with him at that point?
Cornette told me, he said, I need a black tag team. He said, do you have a partner? And at the time, I didn't. So he was like, get a partner, and I want to put y'all together, and I want to use y'all. So Mustafa was working with USWA. I'm sorry, with North Georgia also. So I told Mustafa, I said, Cornette wants me to get a tag team, and I want to use you as my partner, and we'll be a tag team. So Cornette was, when I told him about Mustafa, he was cool with it. But then we was on the phone one night talking, and he said, what's the name that you want to call your tag team? And at the time, me and Mustafa didn't have a name. So Cornette was like, I pitched the name, and we was like, nah. Then he pitched the name, and we was like, nah. So then he said, what about the gangsters? But he said the gangsters, E-R-S. I said, what about the gangsters? A-S at the end.
I see.
And he was like, I like it. So that's when the gangsters were born.
Now, I did an interview with Ricky Morton last week, and he said that the fans were pretty crazy when you were wrestling those guys, and that you showed up with a really expensive car, but he told you to go out and buy a piece of shit car because the fans were going to destroy it. Is it true that the fans were that bad there?
The fans were terrible. And they hated us. So Ricky he told me, he said, Jack, go out and get a fucking car that's worth about $300. And I bought a van. And I stopped driving my van. I had a Corvette. I stopped driving it. And I started driving that van.
Wow. What was the worst experience with a fan you had there in that territory?
One night I had a fan. It was a little boy. He was like about 12 years old. We was coming out of the ring, and he grabbed me. And I didn't look at him, but I spun around and I slapped him. And I didn't mean to hit the kid. And the cops locked me up. They arrested me for hitting that kid, and I had to go to court and pay a fine and the whole nine. It was fucking retarded.
And you wrestled The Undertaker in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. What was that experience like?
It was cool. I mean, it was like I didn't know The Undertaker, but when we met that night, he after the match, he was like, New Jack, I heard a lot of stuff about you. He was like, I'm not sure if all the shit was true. He said, but if anybody got anything bad to say about you, he said, I'll defend you. He said, because that was the easiest match that I ever had in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we took care of each other.
So he was a good guy outside the ring to you, no trouble or anything.
Yeah.
Did Jim Cornette ever throw one of his famous temper tantrums on you?
Not on me, but one night, one of the security guys did something. He was a black guy. He did something bad with Cornette, and Cornette came in the back and called him a nigger. And I heard it. So I was like, so does that mean me and Mustafa niggas too? He was like, no, Jack, it just got blown out of proportion. I didn't mean it. You know what I mean? He was like, don't worry about it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. You know what I mean? So we got past it.
Was Sonny still in Smoky Mountain Wrestling when you were there?
Yeah.
How did you get along with her?
We was cool. Me, her, and Chris was cool. I always looked out for Sonny.
Oh yeah, I heard in later years, wasn't there some parking lot fight or something and you helped protect her or something like that?
That was in ECW.
Okay.
It was some girls that was at a club next door to the arena. And they was walking out, and Tammy called one of the girls ugly. So they got into an argument. And Chris came out, Sabu came out, I came out, Devon came out, Scorpio came out, and it was one big fight, you know what I mean? And that was all because of Tammy running her goddamn mouth. And she started it, but we ended up fighting about it, and it was a big deal, but you know what I mean? It was all over.
Now, Johnny K9, I think, was in Smoky Mountain too. Did you know him at all?
To my Bruiser Bedlam?
Yeah, Bruiser Bedlam, yeah.
Yeah, I know him.
I've heard that he was a biker and actually was fairly tough. Are those rumors true?
He's dead now, right?
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah. Bruiser burnt down a police station. He got locked up and got out of jail and burnt down the goddamn police station. You know what I mean? So yeah. Bruce didn't play. He didn't fuck around.
No. And what about Chris Jericho? Was he around in those days?
He was there, but we never had any dealings with each other. We worked a couple of matches together. Well, they put me and Mustafa over, him and Lance Storm, but that was it.
Okay. So you didn't live in the same house that Jericho and Storm lived with Bedlam. You had your own place.
Me, D-Lo, Balls, Mustafa, we stayed in the house. Jericho and Lance Storm, they stayed in another house.
Okay. So from there, I guess you went to ECW. What made you switch promotions? Better money, I guess?
Yeah, it was time to go. You know what I mean? It was time to go, and we left. And Cornette didn't want us to leave at the time, but I felt like the time was right. It was time to go, so we left and went to ECW. They didn't want D-Lo. They didn't want me and Mustafa. So we went.
Was it Paul Heyman himself that recruited you?
Todd Gordon.
Todd Gordon, okay. So what was your experience like when you got to ECW? It seems like it's more your style of promotion than SMW.
I mean, it was cool. They welcomed us, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, we went up there and we did our thing.
Now, Chris Benoit, I guess, was in ECW at that time. Did you have any matches with him?
No.
No. What was your experience like with him? Obviously, he ended up going crazy.
He didn't go crazy. I mean, he was worried about Tammy with the shit that she was doing, and he dealt with it. I mean, you could you couldn't control that bitch. I mean, she was in a
Oh,
world of her
Nancy?
own, huh?
You mean Nancy?
You said, wait a minute, hold on. You said Chris or Tammy?
Oh, sorry, I was talking about Chris Benoit.
Oh, I didn't have any dealings with him.
Oh, okay. Now, there was an ECW riot in Plymouth that you played a big part of. I guess a fan attacked Balls Mahoney and all hell broke loose. Do you have any memories of that?
No.
And I'm not going to ask you too much about this because you already covered it in the dark side of the ring, but any thoughts on the mass transit thing? One interesting thing I saw from the dark side of the ring is you said you tried to cut him with just jabs first and it didn't bleed. So that's one of the reasons why you ended up having to do the big cut.
Yeah, I mean, we had we had talked about it. He was like, "I want to bleed," and I was like, "Okay, I'll fucking blade you." And when I cut him, I stuck him a couple of times. He didn't bleed, so I sliced him, and he bled a lot. You know what I mean? And that's when everybody got all upset and bent out of shape because they was like, you cut him too deep. I was like, well, fuck him. I'm like, he shouldn't have been the guy that ring with me in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So just whatever.
Do you think a lot of that had to do with your character was so believable? Because that's not uncommon for a veteran to blade a young wrestler if they ask for it. But you had that stigma of being like a psychopath that like everyone bought into it.
I mean, I did my thing. You know what I'm saying? It was like people expected me to go out there and fuck people up. You know what I'm saying? So it was like that was my deal. And when this kid asked me to cut him, I was like, I'll cut you. No problem. Okay. So when the time came for me to cut him, I cut him. And it was like, it wasn't coming out the way I wanted to. So I sliced him and it came out. Next thing you know, I was in court.
And I guess that probably cost you a fortune.
It didn't cost me shit. It cost Paulie a fortune.
Oh, he sued ECW.
Paulie put in a bill for the attorney.
Okay, I see. That's good. How did you come up with the idea to do the balcony dives? Because you're the first person I remember ever doing that.
When I was a kid, I used to go to climb on top of the house. And my mom would drive up in the driveway and I would dive off of the house in front of the car in the driveway. And she would get out of the car and beat the shit out of me. So Paulie was mad at me and Mustafa about something that I had done. So we was doing jobs every night for like a few weeks. So I told Mustafa, I was like, I'm gonna do something tonight that the fans are not gonna remember who the fuck went over. I'm like, trust me. So in the match, I started diving. And at the end of the match, the fans would start chanting New Jack. 1, 2, 3. We put them over. But we was left in the ring and the fan was chanting New Jack. Okay, so that was getting us over. And Paulie was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, what? I said, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You can't do that." And I was like, "We doing the job, so I'm gonna do what I want to do." So we had a big disagreement between what I was doing in the goddamn matches, and I was like, "I don't give a fuck." I said, "I'm gonna do what's gonna get us over." So that's how the dive started.
And for Taz, do you get along with Taz now, or do you still have heat with him?
It's all it's all it's water under the bridge.
Now, many people have said that Taz has a fake tough guy image. Are the Dudleys like that too, or do the Dudleys actually have some legitimate toughness behind them?
Bubba and Devon are two of the biggest bitches in this fucking business. Okay. I mean, it ain't shit tough about Bubba and Devon. There's the character that they play, but it ain't shit tough about neither one of them.
At any point during your ECW run, did did WCW or WWE reach out to you about working for them?
Vince called me and offered me a spot, but the catch was he wanted to own my name, my character,
Okay.
the likeness of, and I wasn't gonna give it to him. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, who the fuck am I without the name New Jack? You know what I'm saying? I couldn't sell a ticket with the name Jerome Young. Okay, so we couldn't come to an agreement on that. So there you go.
And for Beyond the Mat, you're one of the big stars of that movie. It was a big hit. How did you become involved with that film?
They asked me to do it. So I did.
Did you ever get any feedback from those Hollywood producers that you met with in that movie?
No, no. You know what? I didn't know that I was actually reading for a part. I thought that was part of the goddamn movie. But, but I was actually reading for a part. And it was so fucked up that I did it. And I was just like, what the fuck? It was terrible. But no, I didn't get it. Did nobody call me?
Okay. Have you done any other acting work over the years?
Yeah.
And for the big XPW ECW fight that happened at that ECW pay-per-view, what was that all about?
I don't really remember it other than we did a show. The HPW guys was at the show, and they came down and they tried to invade the ring. So we ended up going outside, and it was a big fight. And the cops came out there, and they was like, "Is this part of the show or what?" You know what I mean? So it was a big deal where they didn't know it was part of the goddamn show or what. And we went on and we got in a big fight, and it was a big deal.
And I guess you ended up going to work for them after ECW closed up. How was it working for XPW?
It was cool.
Did you get along with I think it was Rob Black that ran it?
Yeah.
Did he ever make you an offer to be in one of his porns?
No. No. But he used to let us come and watch them make the porn videos. And it was the sickest shit I've ever seen in my life. Dude, he had them bitches doing all kind of nasty shit. And I was like, what the fuck? But no, I was never asked to be involved in it.
What kind of shit? Just like really gross stuff? Like,
They had a thing what they did called Slap Happy. And the guy would be fucking a girl, and then he would start to slap her. And he would slap the spit out of her mouth. And we would watch it. And it was the nastiest shit you've ever seen in your life. And the bitches would throw up on their dick, and they would just do all kind of nasty shit, and they would gag them, and they would stick their fingers in the throat and make them puke. And I was just like, what the fuck? And it was like the nastiest shit in the world. But we watched it, and the shit was retarded.
is it true Rob Black put like a hit on one of the wrestlers for allegedly hitting on his wife or something?
Messiah was fucking Rob Black's girl, Lizzie Borden. And Rob Black got mad. So Rob Black had these guys to go to Messiah's house with some garden shears, and they cut his thumb off.
Wow. Now, you were talking about girls earlier. What was better for the ring rats, Smoky Mountain or ECW?
ECW.
Yeah. Just because you were bigger stars and they loved you guys there?
Yeah.
How easy was it? Were they outside the show after, or where would they find you?
I mean, bro, they would show up at the hotel. We go to the bar. They'd be at the bar. And it was just like a big fucking party. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just easy shit. You know, and they was willing to do whatever the fuck we wanted to do. And that was it.
Now, we both hate Abdullah the Butcher. We both have that in common. Uh, he owes me a lot of money. I won a couple lawsuits against him. He's a piece of shit, though, running from it. What was your issue with Abdullah? I saw a couple videos online. You showing your blood work was clean.
Abdullah talked bad about me. And Ray Candy told me a long time ago, he was like, don't fuck with that nigga. He said he's bad news. Okay, so when I went to meet him at his restaurant, we was talking, and he was like, I can take you to Japan with me, and we can be a tag team. But he wanted me to dress up like him.
Okay.
And I was like, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. You know what I mean? And Paulie had offered him a deal to come to ECW to work me. But he was going to have to be the one to do the job. And he didn't want to do it. And I'm like, I'm not putting your old ass over. I said, you come to ECW and you put me over. And he didn't want to do it. So I stopped talking to him after that.
And then I guess he said something in later years that caused what your response was.
Yeah.
And what was the whole thing with Knobs about? We've heard that he's been known to use the N-word from time to time. Was it over that or something else?
We was at a show one night in Florida. And Knobs was there. And he came out and he said he was talking to the locker room. And they were like, okay, let's listen to this motherfucker, what the fuck ever. And I was like, I'm sitting there listening to him. And somebody had texted me, and I was reading my text on my phone, and Knobs had just made a comment to somebody, and he looked at me, and I laughed. And he was like, Nujat, what you laughing at? You can't wrestle. And I was like, really? And he was like, you can't wrestle? So I stood up. I took my ring off, took my watch off, set my phone down, and I hit him in the face. And he fell. And I jumped on him, and I started beating the shit out of him. And he was like, Jack, what's wrong with you? We brothers. I said, well, I said, motherfucker, we ain't brothers. I said, I don't fucking know you. And during the whole time, he was trying to talk his way out of his ass whooping he was getting. And I beat the shit out of him. I beat the fucking shit out of Knobs that night. So he sent me this picture on Twitter where he was bent over showing his ass crack. And bro, he got a butthole like this big. And if you go on my Twitter, it's still on there. Right? And I posted it on Twitter. And he got my phone on me and he called me. He was like, New Jack, why you gotta put that picture up? He said, brother, I'm sorry. And I was like, no, fuck you. I said, you sent me that bullshit, I'm gonna post it. And he asked me to take it down, but I wouldn't take it down. I left it up. And it's still up to this day. It's on my fucking Twitter.
And you've done a couple shoot interviews, or at least one with the Iron Sheik. Are you still friends with them?
Yeah.
Do you have any stories about him?
No, me and the Sheik, we just cool.
And what about the Honky Tonk Man? You still get along with him?
Yeah.
For the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view that WWE put on, did they ever contact you about being part of that?
They wanted me to do, what do you call it? Via satellite. And Paulie had asked me, he said, would you be willing to do that? I said, no, I want to be on the show. He said, well, we want to do something via satellite. I said, no, I'm not doing no via satellite bullshit. I want to be on the show. I want to be in the house. You know what I mean? He was like, well, there might be a problem. So I was like, fuck you, I'm not doing it. So they didn't use me.
What did you think about what happened there with Meanie and JBL on that show? Did you ever see what happened?
I didn't see it.
Okay. There was a rumor that WWE was going to use you in 2004 against John Cena. Did you ever hear about that rumor?
They wanted to use me with Cena about the stabbing. When I stabbed a guy in Florida.
Right.
And they wanted to use me with Cena. And he was supposed to get stabbed by somebody. And the mysterious stabber was supposed to be me.
Okay.
But once they realized the shit that really did happen, they used Carlos Colon. They used his son.
Okay. That's pretty fitting with Carlos Colon's son doing it. What happened in Florida with that guy anyways? It seems weird that, I mean, I've never heard of a situation like that happening in the ring before.
I mean, it was basically he signed up to be my opponent. And when I went to talk to him about what we was gonna do, he was like, okay, whatever. And I'm sitting there trying to talk to this guy about the match, going over the match. And he was like, boy, what the fuck ever. So I ended up fucking him up. Basically.
Did the police actually show up to the show, or were the charges filed later on?
Dude, they showed up and they arrested me. They took me to jail.
Okay. And I guess the guy ended up dropping the charges.
Yeah, he did.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You're lucky that he dropped the charges, I guess.
Yeah.
Was he trying to shoot on you in that match?
Yeah.
Okay. And with the Gypsy Joe match, I guess he wasn't selling for you. That's what set you off in that match.
Yeah, he was. He was like, New Jack, I can teach you a lot. Just listen to me. And I was like, you talking to me? And he was like, yeah, I can teach you a lot. So from there, it was all downhill. And when the actual match started, I was throwing punches and kicks and knees and headbutts and whatever, and he was no selling me. And I was like, okay. So once we got outside the ring, I picked up a bat and I just started knocking the shit out of him with that bat.
Now, was there any police called in that, or it just you left and it was all over and done with?
I left.
Okay. Did you ever see him again since?
No.
No. And the Vic Grimes thing, I guess that was stemming from he didn't protect you properly earlier on, and you wanted to give him a receipt.
Yeah.
What do you have to say to the people that, I guess Vic Grimes, before he died, claimed that it was a work, probably to protect his own reputation, but what do you have to say to that?
I told Vic, well, I asked him, did he go up and check the scaffold to see if it was okay for us to jump off of? And he was like, I checked it out, Jack, everything's fine. So I went, we went up top on the scaffold, and Big was like, Jack, I can't do this too high. I'm like, what the fuck you mean too high? I'm like, we on pay-per-view as a bitch. I said, we jumping on 3. And he was like, Jack is too high. So I said, on 3. 1, 2, 3. And I pulled him down. And he did a flip, which put his back up against my head, and my head hit the floor and cracked my skull.
Yeah, so if I understand the receipt there. Is it hard to get a taser in the US, by the way? Because I'm from up here in Canada. Very difficult here.
No, just go to your local pawn shop. You can get one.
Now, I'm friends with a guy named Hangman Hughes that you did an elaborate rib with in IWA Puerto Rico. Could you tell the story of that rib where you freaked out the dressing room with Mike Hughes?
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, maybe it was more funny to him. I guess it involved a gun or something. But apparently the dressing room thought you guys were going to kill each other, and everyone was freaking out. Luke Williams was there. What are your thoughts on AEW? Have you seen any of it?
No.
What are your thoughts on Impact Wrestling now having Tessa Blanchard as the men's champion?
I don't watch it.
Do you watch any wrestling? I'm going to guess no.
No.
Were you a fan before you got into wrestling?
I mean, I watched Mid-Atlantic when I was a kid.
Is it true that you like Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah.
Any other favorites from when you were young?
No.
Do you have a favorite opponent?
Balls
Mahoney. How did he actually pass away? Do you remember what the cause of death was?
I don't know.
Would you ever consider being a wrestling manager for somebody?
No.
Are you retired now?
Semi.
Now that Paul Heyman's head writer for Raw, do you think there's any chance they would use you for an angle of some sort in the future?
No.
Did you get along with him overall through your career?
I mean, we was all right. We was okay.
There was a fan that wanted to know if you had any stories from Greensboro, North Carolina, wrestling or otherwise.
That's where I'm from.
Okay. That's where you live now?
Yeah.
Okay. So you like it there, obviously.
Yeah.
And it talked about in this Dark Side of the Ring documentary, you're a pretty good cook. What's your favorite dish to cook?
Spaghetti.
And I guess you have a family. You're doing well for yourself these days.
Yeah. I got a wife and a few stepkids, and we're fine.
And I see you got is that your ECW action figure in the background there?
Yeah.
How many action figures do you have of yourself?
About 6.
6, yeah. Any favorite memories of the wrestling business over the years?
Not really.
And you've openly talked about drugs over the years. pot's legal here in Canada. That's pretty accepted. What do you think about weed finally being more accepted by the general public?
I mean, I tried to do weed a couple of times and I threw up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I was never a big fan of weed. My drug of choice was cocaine. That's what I used to do. And I would
Okay.
do it before my matches, I would do it. And that was my choice.
What was the party scene like in ECW? Was that like acceptable or did you have to hide it?
I didn't hide it. I mean, there were people that came around me that didn't want nobody to know that they did it, but I didn't hide it. I did it, and everybody knew I did it.
What was it about that that you liked? Just gave you more energy,
Yeah,
euphoric feeling? Yeah.
yeah.
Did it help with pain? Like if someone's gonna bash you with the chair in a match?
No.
No. What are your thoughts on Rob Van Dam?
Yeah,
What about Al Snow?
I like Al.
Sabu?
I like Sabu.
Why do you think a major company didn't ultimately hire you? Was it just issues like what you're saying, the name, or was it something else?
I got a history of doing shit to people, fucking up people in the ring. And nobody wanted to take the chance on hiring me because of that.
Did you ever do that to someone that was undeserving of it?
No.
It was usually receipts or someone that didn't know what they were doing, right?
Right.
And you're obviously a great heel, underrated as an actual wrestler. Do you have any advice for heels out there that might be watching this that are professional wrestlers?
I tell them all good luck.
Is there any wrestlers that you're still friends with behind the scenes?
Gary Wolf.
Gary Wolf, yeah. He seems like a good guy. Did you get along with the Sandman behind the scenes?
Yeah.
What was the most fucked up you ever saw Sandman?
I mean, I really can't say how fucked up it was. I mean, if he was fucked up, I was fucked up right along with him.
Okay. Yeah, because Sabu told me a story one day at an ECW show. He was in the ring all fucked up and they couldn't come back to the town or something.
Yeah, Pensacola, Florida.
Yes, yeah. Because he was naked or something,
Yeah,
right? Were you were on that show?
yeah. And Paulie was like, Jack, I'm gonna hit your music. I said, if you hit my music, I'm not going to the ring. I'm like, fuck that. He'll be in the ring butt naked by himself. I'm not going to the ring.
Is it true you went out with Missy Hyatt at one point?
No, me and Mr. was cool.
Okay. And we don't have to get into this, but Terry Reynolds, you went out with her. That seems like an unusual pairing.
We dated for like a year and a half.
Okay. Now, I know you have a book. I think you got t-shirts. Where can people look you up and buy your stuff if they want to buy some of your stuff?
My book is theonlynewjack.com.
And you're on social media. I think you've got a Twitter account.
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie? Just curious.
New Jack City.
New Jack City. And what do you think of all the shit that's going on right now with all the riots happening everywhere and all this stuff?
I encourage these motherfuckers to burn this motherfucker down. Because it's long overdue. And I'm like, I support these motherfuckers to burn this motherfucker down.
Has it been happening in South Carolina too?
North Carolina?
North Carolina, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you're past the point where you want to participate in that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm that's past me.
You'll cheer them on from the sidelines.
Yeah.
Did you see that incident with the cop that this whole thing started over?
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I thought it was fucked up.
Yeah. What's the most racist state you've ever wrestled in?
Huh?
Like, obviously, we've heard like Smoky Mountain, some of the fans there were more on the racist side than, let's say, New York. Out of all the states you've wrestled in, where would you say racism was the worst?
Between West Virginia and Kentucky.
Okay. All right. Well, I really appreciate that you did this interview with us. Is there anything you want to plug before we go here or anything?
No, I'm good.
And if people want to book you, they can look up your website.
Yeah.
When was the last time you wrestled, by the way?
It's been a couple of years. I had surgery on my ankle. And I'm in a cast now. So I'm on the sideline for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when that's off, you might be back in there here and there.
Yeah.
Do you work a regular job? Obviously, you can't now, but
No.
did you have no? You don't have to do bounty hunting or anything like that
Nope.
anymore. That's good. All right, sir. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate you going through all the questions. Last question, I guess. What's your favorite company you ever wrestled for?
Smoky Mountain.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that?
I learned a lot.
And I guess ECW is where you made your most money?
Yeah.
I see. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Now, do you mind just doing, I'll cut it at that, but do you mind just doing an intro to it, introducing yourself and saying you're about to do an interview with Hannibal TV?
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Yo, this is New Jack. And I'm about to do an interview with Hannibal TV. Watch this shit. Please believe it.
Nice. All right. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
See you down the road.
All right, brother.
Have a good night.